Welcome, everybody. Please take a seat. Welcome. Please take a seat. My name is Peter Wanders. I'm the president and CEO of Anderson Ranch. I want to welcome you. Thank you all for coming. It's a room full of friends, and we're excited to have you here. Want to quickly thank our hosts for this week, our chair committee, Sarah Broughton and John Rowland, Charles and Bunny Burson, Gabby Palmieri, Seth Berger, and Corey, and their sister Elise is also one of our chairs this week. Really great group of friends, family, and really I think that's what this room is about. These are celebrating some people who have been our peers, our friends, but really helped build the ranch over all these years. And that service to the arts, I think, is what makes the ranch great. I talk a lot about the ranch being a maker's place, and today we really celebrate the people who make the ranch great. So, Seth, I'm going to pass to you to get us going today, but thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Peter, for that introduction. For those of you who don't know me, but I kind of recognize everybody, I'm Seth Berger. I am the son of Bruce and Barbara. And on behalf of the Recognition Dinner co-chairs, myself, my wife, Corey, my sister, Elise, Sarah Broughton, John Rowland, Bunny and Charles Burson, and Gabby Palmieri, I welcome all of you to this special conversation, and thank you for engaging with the arts, supporting Anderson Ranch, and showing up for my parents. I would also like to extend a warm welcome and thanks to International Artist Honoree Charles Gaines. Thank you, Charles, for your impactful talk with Rodney McMillan yesterday. It's wonderful to be here today at Anderson Ranch to celebrate my parents. Mom and Dad. Okay, there we go. Mom and Dad, congratulations on receiving Anderson Ranch's Service to the Arts Award. The award... This award is presented annually to recognize arts advocates who demonstrate the highest level of leadership, integrity, and vision. Clearly a well-deserved honor. Previous Service to the Arts honorees, some of whom might be here, some who in fact are here with us this morning, include Donna Faruqi, Sarah Arison, Bunny and Charles Burson, Jan and Ronnie Greenberg, Domenico and Eleanor DeSole, and Nancy Magoon, among many others. On behalf of my whole family, I would like to thank the ranch for recognizing my parents' 30-plus years of involvement with and support of the ranch, as well as their lifelong engagement with and love of the art, artists, makers, and committed gallerists, collectors, and institutions like the ranch that are critical to fostering a healthy ecosystem. My childhood memories are filled with gallery openings, studio visits, museum shows, fairs, previews, and auctions, and the back room of many galleries where sometime I was left as though it was daycare. Our house was always full of colorful characters, artists, and art world people. As a teenager, and even today, I was far more likely to recognize a famous or emerging artist or chef on the street than any athlete whatsoever. It made for some awkward moments when I got to college and I lacked that common language with my peers. I also remember I was at an interview when I was 23 years old at Goldman Sachs, and I was asked what I would do in my afternoon off. And I said, go to the museum. My 29-year-old interviewer did not relate to me, and I did not get that job. What I did get, and which has been passed along to my entire family by my parents, is an appreciation for the role that artists and art play in how we communicate, innovate, and think about ourselves and our relationship to others in society. We learned firsthand the importance of and how to support and foster creative expression. My parents have built a rich life and an art collection whose foundation was rooted in new experiences, open-mindedness, humor, and support of people and ideas that they found interesting. They formed meaningful relationships and created a lifetime of stories surrounded by others who appreciated the arts the way they do. It is really these relationships and the shared stories that are most important and memorable. As anyone who has ever gotten a tour of my parents' collection by my mother, you know that each piece in the collection comes with a personal story. Don't arrive in a rush for an art tour at the house, but know that you will leave with amazing stories about the people behind the art. The conversation that you're about to hear will be led by Gabby Palmieri, one of those people who came into our family's life through the art world. On paper, Gabby's the founder and principal of Palmieri Fine Art, a bespoke full-service art firm she established in 2016. Prior to 2016, Gabby had a distinguished 17-year career at Sotheby's, where she rose to chairman of Contemporary Americas and was recognized as one of the most respected people in the auction world. To Familia Berger, as we are referred to by Gabby, Gabby is a dear friend and a deeply knowledgeable and wickedly smart trusted advisor. Gabby is a good time, and her presence is felt the moment she steps into a room, radiating an energy that is both inspiring and magnetic. While a great listener and deliberate thinker, Gabby knows so much and so many people that you'd better be focused when she starts to speak. The pace can be really quick, and you may need to be fluent in Spanglish. Gabby is also the most loyal friend and always going above and beyond for her friends and clients alike. Gabby, thank you so much for prioritizing today and for being here to lead this conversation. As their son and admirer, I am incredibly proud and honored to introduce my parents, Barbara, better known as BB, and Bruce, as the 2024 Service to the Arts honorees.
I'm not sure how we can follow that, but anyway, I have faith in you, Gabby.
Well, funny you say that, BB, because what many of you here, I can't even follow that. Thank you so much, Seth, for those beautiful words. It is such a privilege to be here, and most of you, I know many of you here know and love this family as much as I do. So this is such a privilege. Many of you also know that my name is Gabby for a reason, and I know we have an hour, but I will say this. We have two very unsuspecting individuals up here who have decided to come on this ride for me, because how many of you have heard collector lectures before? Raise your hand, right? Okay. That's exactly how you bid tomorrow night, by the way, but nevertheless, I digress. Just want to make sure we're getting our aerobic, raising our paddle cardio. But that aside, I thought, what better way to present this format than cue the Art Newlywed Game. It is the 64th edition, and TM64, because that is as long as they have been doing this journey. I will also say my friend Seth here has been my incredible conspirator, because I think BB and BB most in particular was ready to basically kill someone to get intel on what we were going to do. They have no idea of these questions. They had no idea of this format. So welcome to the party, everyone.
I gave
I'm leaving.
Gabby a kiss on the way in. I don't know if we'll give one on the way out.
Can't take it back. Okay, here we go. So they have cards in front of them, and I would like, now they understand what the cards mean. Please hold them up for the crowd to see this. Okay, turn them around, BB. They need to see. There we go. I'm going to ask questions, and they are going to raise cards. They're not always going to be like this, but let's get the party started, shall we? Question number 1. Which one of you was a painter? BB, you have to hold, you can hold this in a second. So, okay, great. Tell us a little bit about that, Bruce.
Basically, when I was in college, I was studying construction management as a major, but I took applied arts. I was at Columbia School of General Studies, and they had a very good program. And then I continued painting at the Art Students League at night when we were first married. Unfortunately, Barbara, as you all know, is OCD, and she was then and still is today. And I wanted to live in a loft downtown, and I found a great place. The floor was at about that angle. It was pretty rough, and her parents took one look at it and said, "My daughter's not going to live in this place." And
So we lived uptown, or we looked down on the garage,
yeah,
and we had one room, and I had turquoise carpet that I love to see the lines in. I vacuumed at least 3 times a day so I could see the lines. And he would put up his easel and make a mess. So when he went to work in the morning, I put away the easel and the paints, vacuumed my carpet.
So to that end, tell us how you felt about those paintings.
they're not in the
You've been
collection.
married 64
They're not in the
years, it's
collection.
okay.
She wouldn't have them.
Well, they were very abstract. I didn't understand abstraction. I didn't understand art. I was barely 19 years old, and he introduced me to all of that. So that
So
was
suffice
pretty
to say,
fabulous.
Bruce, you were the unknowing aesthetic tipping point. Okay, next question. Which one of you first enjoyed visiting museums and galleries? Hold up your cards, please. Okay, so already we disagree, but now this is perfect. We're 2 questions in. So tell us a little bit about your experience kind of wanting to see these galleries and on and on. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I really don't know where it came from because I didn't grow up with art in my family. I did love painting, and I went to galleries and to museums to see what other people were doing, and came to the realization that I better get another job, which I did. But it was just instinctual. I enjoyed it. And then Barbara and I were living in the city. We had our first child, Elise, and we didn't have money to travel or do things. So every weekend, we put Elise in the carriage, and Madison Avenue was the art center back in the 60s, and we'd walk from gallery to gallery, and
They were all ground floor at the time, and it was Upper Madison Avenue. And it's amazing, we've been around long enough to see it all come back to Upper Madison Avenue now. So many of those spaces are galleries again, which they were not.
and we started collecting. We didn't have very much money, and our average purchase price was about $250
Well,
for a
don't
piece
skip
of
ahead
art.
yet. Don't skip ahead yet. Hold. So I have this vision because, BB, you put up this card yourself as well, and I have a picture of this kind of what you guys may have looked like
Seth Berger.
going into these 1960s. I just wanted everyone to get a visual of what they looked like as they were kind of.
He's so much cuter without hair.
So, just so we can understand how they were looking as they were popping in with their $250 budget. Okay, so I also have this vision, and I know that Cindy Sherman, for example, is an artist that you have placed many, and I have a vision of BB kind of being this person, kind of popping down the museums and so on, because, how did you, so you start this, and now as I understand it, 1972 was a big year, right? So I just wanted to give us a reference so we think about 1972. And I understand that that's the company that became Confluence. Tell us, who was the inspiration behind that? Do you see where this game is going, people?
This is a very personal story. So we were very young parents. We had a 10-year-old, almost 10-year-old, and Seth was 3. And our daughter had a heart problem, so I was very nervous. I never let anyone pick her up at school and make sure they had lunch. In those days, I cooked.
Badly.
And I wasn't a very interesting person when Bruce came home at night. So one night he says to me, "We have to talk." Now, what does that mean? That's usually bad, right? Someone's very sick, someone's having an affair, God knows what. I met him in the living room with a glass of wine, prepared to hear God knows what. And he said, "I'm a little bored. You're very bright."
A lot.
And I think you can do more with your life. And I think you need to do more with your life. And I was so upset, I ran out of the living room, slammed the bedroom door, called my mother. I said, "What do I do?" And I had a very wise and wonderful mother, and she said, "You got to do something, and we'll help you in any way." So they came in a lot for you especially, Seth, because you were little. Elise was in school. And about 2 weeks later,
Well,
You wanna
we have to build up to the 2 weeks later.
okay,
In our early collecting, every time we'd buy something, Barbara, friends would come up to the house. Oh, I like that. And Barbara would take them down to Chelsea or wherever we bought it. Soho. And they'd buy a painting. And quite often, Barbara would get a steak dinner out of the sale of the painting. We got it. You took me along once in a while. At any rate, we were out for dinner 2 weeks later with Ivan Karp.
Please hold.
oh, there, oh my goodness.
Yep, that's Ivan.
Ivan and Leo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, tell us about this.
But that week, Barbara had sold about $10,000 worth of art.
Which was a
to
lot
friends.
then.
It was a lot of money then. And we were out for a steak dinner.
By the way, I was making no money. I was just getting a steak dinner.
And Ivan turns to Barbara and said, "This is ridiculous. You got the best eyes in New York, and you're selling a lot of art for us, and you're getting a lousy steak dinner. You've got to be in business, and the corporate world needs you."
Corporations then were moving into those high-rise apartment, office buildings along Park Avenue, like the Seagram's building. They were all being built. They were taking down their flock wallpaper. They were taking down their chair rails. They had square blocks of white walls and nothing to put on them. So Ivan and Leo both said, "You could sell the Brooklyn Bridge. You're honorable. You have a great eye. You need to be in business." We left that dinner. The next morning at 7:30 in the morning, the phone rings. It's Ivan Karp on the phone. Boyga, he used to call me Boyga, B-O-I-G-A. Boyga, if you're in bed, get up. Confluence needs you. I didn't even know what Confluence was. He named my company. It was the coming together of art, architecture, and design. And he was the director of Leo Castelli at the time. So Leo and Ivan helped me put portfolios together. And I worked with a carousel of slides. I still am the most unmechanical person. Was scared to death, but that's what was available then. And I had four cassettes. I had painting, sculpture, photography, and fiber and clay in 4 different carousels.
And tell us a little bit about those first projects, because every time you've talked about them, they were so ambitious.
Well, the first 3 clients were American Airlines, Nabisco, and Melvin Simon Associates.
Well, how did I get my clients? I went to architects.
She got her clients by presenting her carousels. She didn't own any of the art. It was just samples of what she would do.
It was
And
the stable of Ivan and Leo. That's
Basically,
what it was. It was
yeah.
all their artists. And I made appointments cold with architects. I don't know how I had the courage for that, but I did. And my first client was Copeland Novick in Israel, which is a very big architecture firm. And my first real big job was with Melvin Simon in Chicago for the North Riverside Shopping Center. I put art in the indoor spaces, outdoor spaces, and he won Shopping Center of the Year that year. And he wrote me a beautiful letter that said that the art helped him so much receive that award. So that was my first job. Lucky, dumb luck.
I love this visual of you with your carousels. I'd love to have seen you manage that, knowing how well you are with technology. But that, I would
With
have
my
liked-
cards and my
I
mic.
think that exactly with the cards and the mic right now. How we are going right back to it. Here's an interesting question. Tell us a bit about your provenance. That your parents, you mentioned, in terms of being supportive of your interest in the arts, but I understand that there is a story about Donald Judd and your father.
We were married 10 years in 1970, and for our 10th anniversary, my parents gave us $500, which for them was a lot of money, and at the time it was a considerable amount of money. And I went out and I bought this Donald Judd for $900.
500.
500, I'm sorry. And my parents saw what their money brought. No, we added no, it was
No.
500, you're right.
500.
And therefore, they came and see it. My father had been in the construction business And when he took one look at that, he said, "You spent my money on that? My roofer could have done better. I could have had that made for you." He did live long enough to know that it was the right thing and that we had made a good purchase.
So to this end, get ready to hold up your cards here because we're going to be ready for one of these questions. And again, I ask that you do not use these as weapons. Which one of you needed the most convincing to buy your first significant work of art? Okay, tell us about that.
The first significant piece was Basquiat. That was our first really significant.
Well, it wasn't so significant.
For us, it was significant.
It was $7,000, and I bought it in the basement of the Nina Nozay gallery, where he was lying in the corner on a mattress.
Right, but we totally disagreed on what to purchase, if you recall.
Yes.
I wanted a big, bold Basquiat, and we lived in, Barbara will say, a small apartment. It wasn't so small.
It was a small bedroom.
We only had one wall big enough for Basquiat. It was right next to the bed. And Barbara said, "I can't wake up in the morning and look at that." So we bought probably the most tame Basquiat ever painted.
It was very Johnsoni, and it was very beautiful. I loved the painting, but he was never comfortable that I bought that painting. It should have been and he was right.
It was the wrong
It should have
piece.
been very messy.
Okay.
But the wrong thing was when we sold it.
Okay, hold. Okay, so it was wrong. Okay, so we'll go to seller's remorse in a minute. But at the moment then, while we still have our cards then, which one of you is responsible for the one that got away? Take your time. Okay, take your time. But all right, tell us why.
I wanted money to buy another painting by Christopher Wool. So we sold the Basquiat at looked like a wonderful price at the time. I pushed Barbara to sell the painting against
what
her
you
better
meant by what
judgment,
got
and she was
away?
right.
You know, that's one take on it, but tell us your version of the one that got away, because apparently there's something that's bothering you here. Tell it. We're
No, I
public.
wasn't. I don't have nothing bothers me. I was just wondering if that's the answer you were looking for.
Tell us an answer. Tell us one that you think got away and blame him for it, please.
Actually, I mean, there were things I wish I had bought.
Okay, we'll get to that then. Okay, that's very diplomatic. Look at the love up here, people. Okay, which one of you takes the longest to decide on an art purchase?
Neither one of us. I'm very bad at these cards.
Generally pretty quick.
Yeah.
It hits us in the gut. If we're still thinking about it the next morning, we buy it.
Oh no, I buy it when I see it. It gets me.
Well,
Okay. So then, for the ones that didn't get away, the ones that someone's sleeping on, someone has already bought it, good to know, who's more likely to splurge on a work in the collection?
a story along those lines. You agree?
All right.
Well,
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said I splurged the biggest because I tell you we don't have money to buy it, and then I go
Right.
and buy it.
Well, just like when we.
So the Yotango no money turns into all of a sudden we splurge. Tell us a bit about this because
Well, I remember on two occasions in particular, I used to go down to Chelsea at that time, Soho was no longer, and by myself for research almost every day. And sometimes Bruce would meet me, or he would call up and say, I'll meet you at 2 o'clock here, there, or where. And I had that morning been at Loring Augustine Gallery and seen a fabulous George Condo painting that I loved. And it was coming out of the crate, and I was just salivating. I wanted that painting, big painting. But Bruce had said, we don't have money right now to buy art. Please don't get into any trouble. So I passed. I didn't put it on reserve, which I did a lot. And Bruce came down that afternoon by himself, never calling me. I don't know why. But he walked in, saw the painting, and bought it. So that was one. And then another time was at the Barbara Gladstone Gallery, where Barbara, may she rest in peace, she called us one morning and she said, you have to come down. I have the most fabulous painting. You have to see it. And it happened to be a Richard Prince nurse painting, and it was before all the hullabaloo about Richard Prince and that particular series. So we, out of respect to our friendship with her, we went down to look at it. All the way down in the car, Bruce said, we're not buying anything, just remember that. We walk in, the painting is spectacular. We're sitting in the viewing room, and Bruce says, I could think it was me, you put me up to it. You said, we're not buying it. And I said, Barbara, we're sort of out of money right now to buy art. It's fabulous. Thank you so much for showing it to us. And she got crazy. She said, she stood up. She said, what do you mean? You're not going to buy this, pardon my French, effing painting? You're out of your effing mind if you don't buy this effing painting. So help me God, this is what she said.
The Fs went on for about 5 minutes.
And then Bruce looked at Barbara, and he looked at me, and he said, I guess we're going to buy this effing painting. And we did, and it's hanging here in our parlor in Aspen, and we love it very much. But that was another case.
That is an effing great story. Okay, so next one. So, Bibi, now we've talked about a bit of your kind of, we've a little challenge, but we're going to say for your clients now. For your clients, which artwork or artist was the most difficult to get access to that was ultimately worth the wait? Because you're a very hard person to say no to.
Thank you, and I'm very persistent. Well, I think maybe it was Christopher Wool.
Okay.
And there was a show going up again at Laing Augustine Gallery, and I convinced Roland to let me go to, is there another picture? Oh, there, oh.
There's
there
a
it
picture,
is.
but
Oh.
before we go into that, I just have one question before, and I want you to hold your card. So, Bibi, really be ready to get to hold up one of these cards. Ready? Okay. Whose idea was it to get drunk in a parking lot with Christopher Wool and your friends from
It was
Lawrence?
Christopher.
Okay, now tell us the Christopher Wool story, because he's saying that it was Bibi's idea to get a little, okay, tell us.
Well, Roland Augustine had said to me, I convinced him that I should be able to preview the show and go to the gallery, to the studio. And he said, Barbara, you're very loquacious. You love to talk and schmooze. He's shy. Christopher's very shy. Why don't you just go take a look, see the paintings, and leave very quickly? 3.5 hours later, Christopher and I were in the parking lot in the Lower East Side drinking wine. We had a wonderful, wonderful visit, and I was able to get out of that show 4 paintings.
How good was that wine?
One,
to know.
one for us and 3 for clients. So I was really very excited about that.
And there's an amazing story that continues once you go to the gallery about those 4 paintings. Tell us about that.
We went opening night, and Barbara was walking through the show with Lawrence Laing. We would walk
Had
together.
Laurie not been with us, no one would believe
Barbara,
the story.
Barbara said to Lawrence, I bet Bruce can pick the 4 paintings out of this. I think there were 13 in the show. I bet Bruce can pick the 4 paintings that I chose because he knows my eye. And Lawrence said, sure. And
he did. He said, this is the one you bought for us, stupid rabbit. And then he chose the other 3. He said, you bought this for so-and-so, this for so-and-so. And he was right. So no one would really believe that. That was pretty
no, we've been
amazing.
collecting together so long, we know each other's eyes pretty well.
Okay, so we're talking about getting drunk, getting tipsy, in the parking aside. Now, tell us in your words, especially for this crowd here, about the importance of knowing artists, developing relationships with gallerists. And there are so many amazing gallerists here today that have come to support you and your journey. And of course, I have this great picture that was shared. And it's a good thing we know you're married, because it looks a little questionable about how joyous you are here. So it's good. But we have, tell us a little bit about your friends with...
I didn't realize you were so tall, Barbara. He's 6'7",
He's 7 feet
Oh,
1.
pardon me, 7'1", okay.
Barb, I think, are you standing on something?
Yes, yes, I am. This was at his studio in LA, and when we walked in, he was lecturing to a group of students. There might have been about 100 kids in there. And he saw us walk in, and I had bought, out of his first show, 3 paintings. When he really needed money, they were $6,500 each. That's how early it was. That was, what year was that? I'm trying to remember.
2002.
2001. And he was very, very appreciative and needy. And when we walked in, he stopped what he was saying. He pointed to the door. He called us over. He put me on a table this high. And he introduced us. And then he said that for his new body of work, my hair was his
Inspo?
inspiration, yeah. Which of course was not true, but if you look at it, yeah. I mean, I was so excited. That was so nice. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. He also came to Aspen when he had a show. I think it was the last show at the old museum, and it was of his merchant posters. And he came, and we gave a dinner at the house. And he was so sick. He had such altitude sickness. I have never really seen a black man turn green. I mean, he was absolutely green. He had a scarf on and a hat on, and he had to duck through our little house, all the little archways. He had to bend.
I never have to duck, but okay.
Anyway, he was a wonderful friend.
And here you are with Angel, showing this kind of great story
Oh my
of the
goodness!
smile.
Look at those kids. My God, where'd you get that picture? That's what?
And then, of course, we have this incredible, this book signing.
Yes, Hachagwan.
That is
Yes,
so
yeah.
extraordinary. And now we've talked about the relationship with the artist, but tell us about your relationships with the gallerists as well, please.
Well, a shout out to my dear friends who have come here, my gallery friends who I've known for so many years. You're all so important to both of us. And we have been so fortunate to not just do business, but really be good friends and share our lives, our children, our experience, our travel, and just enjoy each other.
So to this end, you both are known to be the hosts with the most, and you're talking about hosting artists who apparently get ill, but okay, artists who was the first artist that you invited into your home, and what was that like? To stay.
I think we're not sure on that one. I think
It might have been Vic Muniz.
it was
who's
Vic Muniz who
stayed
came
with
and
us.
stayed with us. And
We used to have
he
a
was
guest
actually
house.
speaking here at the ranch, and we invited him to stay at our home. And we had purchased many years before a photograph that he had taken of
Look, I want to interrupt you. So my framer, Jerry Joseph, hired him to work in his frame shop. And I walked in one day to discuss a job, a framing for a job, and just sitting on the floor was this wonderful little photograph that I just loved. And I said, whose is that? I've never seen the work before. He said, oh, just some guy who just came over from Brazil, and he's working in the back. He really needs the money. I said, I'm going to buy it. And it was $200, and we still own it and love it. But then years later, Vic came to stay with us, and we had a loft in Denver at the time, and that piece was in Denver. So we brought it up here. Did he have a show at the museum?
no, he was lecturing.
Was he lecturing at the ranch?
I think he was
don't know why
lecturing
he
at the
was here.
ranch.
I can't remember. And we installed the painting in the bedroom where he would be staying. And he cried and he cried. He says, without that $200, I was going to have to leave New York. That was something. He was a great guy. And he talked all night. We never went to bed.
So here's a question for you, Bruce, because you've mentioned that, like myself here, BB has the gift of gab. So what is the first thing that BB does when she gets to an art fair?
Oh,
Aside from apparently leaving Seth at child daycare. Okay.
She starts talking to everybody in the aisles. It's a real pain to go. It's a real pain to go to an art fair with Barbara. It's very painful.
Well, I know a lot of people.
I want to look at art. She does too, but she knows everybody at the fair, and
And I don't like to be rude or hurt feelings, so I talk to everyone. Yeah.
How long does it take you to get through the fair? Have you ever completed a fair to the best of your knowledge?
never.
It's particularly challenging when I have clients with me, and I have to really try very hard to focus. And I just go like that to people. And
A number of Barbara's clients have said, "We're never going to an art fair with you again."
Okay, so this seems to be a little bit of a trend. Okay, let's talk about your home here in Aspen, because it really feels like it was meant to house art. And I can't get through these questions and so on that I wanted to share a bit about certainly this one. Tell us a little bit. I know a lot of you do know the Chamberlain story. It is epic. I would love you to share it.
Honey?
so I walked into Castelli Gallery one day and into the back room of Leo's office, and Ivan Karp was there, and John Chamberlain was sitting in the corner in a chair. I'd never met John, but so admired his work. And Ivan said, "John here needs a refrigerator. I know that Bruce is working on a job where he is putting refrigerators into his apartments. Can you get him a refrigerator? He really needs a refrigerator." And I said, "Well, I really need that piece that was hanging over his head in the corner." So John said, much to the disdain of Leo and Ivan, "You get me a refrigerator and that piece is yours. No, and you get it installed, and that piece is yours." And so I did that very quickly before he could change his mind. But that piece we traded for a $89 refrigerator.
It's just one of the greatest stories ever.
I still love it so much.
I mean, I feel like the title should be refrigerator, but it's not in the catalog resume. Right. I did check. Okay. So, like a fine wine, because we know that you have had one or two in a parking lot from time to time, but like a fine wine, which one of you wanted a work that the other had to get used to?
That would go back to the Basquiat, which
Yeah.
was one of the ones
You're not
we.
gonna forgive me to that, I
No,
know.
I'm not
And I'm
gonna
not going to
forgive you
forgive
that
you
one.
for making me sell it.
But it was the Basquiat that it took me a long time to get used to. So long that I had to get rid of it.
And I was going to ask, how do you feel
Big
about it now?
mistake.
But we're gonna let that one go. Okay. So now to this end, ready with your cards. Which one of you has exercised the most veto power over the years?
I don't think either one of us, actually. Would you say?
You got the veto power.
On our collecting, are you talking?
I'm
Okay.
talking. Well, this is a different lecture. We're all ears.
Over the children?
Okay.
No.
A different seminar. Tune in later.
I think Bruce, he bows to my, what he calls expertise, and he'll listen to me.
Barbara's got the eyes. She's got the veto power.
I love.
But
Good
I have
answer.
to say, I think we are together. We're married 64 years, which is just amazing. And we're together 70 years. That is a long time. And it's been great. And we know each other so well, and we respect each other so much. And we know we have similar taste. But I've learned so much from you, because I didn't know a thing when we started this journey. I had been to a museum once a year, maybe, and certainly never to a gallery. And I never lived with anyone I never lived with anyone because I was so young. But I never, I lived with a painter. You knew more. You dragged me around to these galleries, and I took to it like a duck to water.
The reality is we've developed our taste together, so very rare that we don't agree on a purchase.
we used
But
to
if we
disagree.
don't agree, she wins.
Okay.
We
So
would
Bruce,
disagree more on bringing up the children.
again, another seminar. Okay. So Bruce, if Bibi was an artwork in your collection, which would she be?
Oh my goodness. You better make it beautiful, tall, skinny, blonde.
get ready, because you're going to answer this too.
Uh-oh.
Not about.
Let BB answer first. I got to think about it.
Would you repeat it?
If Bruce was an artwork in the collection, which would he be?
Oh, that's easy for you.
I think the Chamberlain. He's muscular. He's
I thought you would have said be somebody with a body.
well, that I bought for you, yes. That's a
Warhol.
small Andy Warhol gold leaf painting that I bought at Sotheby's at an auction, and it says, be somebody with a body, and it has a muscular bodybuilder, because when I married Bruce, he was a bodybuilder, and he still is, and he's got a great body. I'm not sure he's going to say that about me, but I'm saying that about him.
All right, Bruce.
Okay. That's a hard one.
Shouldn't be so hard. The most beautiful piece in the
The
collection.
most expensive piece? Well, let's throw them out there. The most beautiful, the most expensive. Come on, we're giving you a layup, Bruce. Go, go.
I don't know what you would say. The nurse. The curvy nurse. The curvy nurse.
I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay. Okay.
He's
Fair
afraid of
enough.
getting into trouble.
Fair enough. Okay. Good, smart. Happy wife, happy life. Okay. So who is the best one to tell us about the work that had you both looking at each other, what were we thinking for its difficulty to install the work? Because going through your home, you have some pretty ambitious installations.
Well, being in the construction business, I'll take that one. The Bill Viola Four Hands piece that's at the foyer of the house. The house was built in 1891, and today you build a house, studs are 16 inches on center, and you can figure how to chase something up. This house, the walls, nothing is regular. It was plastered solid, and the console for the piece is upstairs, and the piece is downstairs. And we had to snake 4 different sets of wires to a tiny closet, and I'm forgetting the name of the then director of
Director of the Aspen Art Museum. Who? Was it Philip Yanov? No, it was
tall,
Dean
thin-
Sobel.
Dean Sobel.
Dean Sobel.
And Dean's-
6'2".
And we put it into a closet that's about 2 foot
the
by 2.
console had to go
The console had to go to the first we had to get the wires up the wall, which was impossible, and then we had to get Dean in the closet to install it because technology is not my thing.
No.
That was the toughest piece. But yesterday I was in that closet because the piece went kafooey on us Monday night when we had an event at the house and Four Hands wasn't working. And Barbara said, "You've got to get that fixed today." So yesterday, doing FaceTime with Bill Viola's studio, we fixed the piece.
And now apparently the piece's title in the collection is called No Problem. Okay. Now, my next question for you, as we're coming to the end of this epic game here, is at what point did you actually begin to think of yourselves as collectors, if ever? And before you act confused about this is when you walk through your house.
Yeah.
And we have got, a Corinthian helmet, a Marina Abramovic, a hermaphrodite sculpture, a Kara Walker, Mark Bradford. So before you say we're not collectors, I'm just gonna,
You missed the Americana as well.
Yeah. This is me, right? Yeah, I'm pink. We have been collectors since the very beginning. Our first collection was choppers, wrought iron, hand-wrought iron choppers that we collected at flea markets, and our budget was $4, $2, $3, and $4. And when the kids were little, we would all go to the flea market together, and we would take a family vote on a $4 purchase. So yes, we have been collectors right from the beginning. I just love collecting things. We have fish decoys, and we have the art. I never considered.
We've been through antiquities. The Native American didn't show up in this photograph, but Native American pieces we collected for quite a while. Americana, but contemporary art is where our love was and is.
And we don't sell very much. I mean, it sounds like we're talking about things that we would deaccession. We don't do that very much.
Well, we deaccessioned the antiquities and the Native American so we could continue with the
Right.
contemporary.
So here's a question.
Fill the coffer.
Fill the coffer. So we know you've gone to buy these $4 things. Where's the furthest you've traveled for a work of art, either for yourselves or for a client, or where has it taken you? And before you answer this, was it perhaps Venice?
Seth,
Was
you've
it,
been busy
was
with those
it perhaps,
pictures.
I told you he was my co-conspirator. Was it perhaps Marfa? Or was it perhaps, Italy here with you and Cristo? Or, tell us a little bit about your journeys. But I
think
do
it was
want to
all
just
of
go
the
back
above.
again to this because it's just perfect.
We travel far and wide for art fairs, for celebrations of artists and friends, and I don't know that
We built our life, our travels, all around art. And what's great about art, you go to a city, you know nobody, but a gallerist here in the States will say, look up so-and-so in Iceland.
art has enriched every aspect of our life, and I don't think there's any place we go where it isn't in the back of our minds, or the front.
So speaking of travels, the culinary arts have been as much of a journey as art has. So Bruce, obviously everyone here knows, especially Bruce, please hold up your card and just show the fact that I did try to put little chef emojis next to this end. I did try.
Gabby,
I tried.
you're amazing.
But
You
tell us
thought of
this, Bruce.
everything.
Tell us about your culinary journey. And then, Bibi, we've got a question for you.
My father started off life as a delicatessen counterman on the Lower East Side of New York. He left school in 4th grade to work in a deli, and he was a fanatic cook. And by age 5, I started cooking with him. And then in college, I became the cook for our friends. We got married, and Barbara took over for a
Cook
while.
then.
She cooked not very well.
You did tell us that
Actually,
before, but thank you, Bruce.
Actually, I did cook the first dinner in our new apartment, and Barbara grew up in a kosher home, and her parent.
I cooked that dinner.
You cooked that terrible ham? Right.
He insisted.
She asked, what do you want for your first dinner? I said, a Virginia ham.
He was a very obstinate person. I wanted to keep a kosher home, and he didn't want to, so it was okay. And he wanted ham, and I made it.
And she
then-
put the can of peas on the burner unopened to try and get it to open. If I hadn't seen it, it would have opened like a hand grenade. After dinner, I took the garbage out to the incinerator, and sitting on the floor was this pot, or a Pyrex, that looked familiar. It was the dish she cooked the ham in, and I brought it back in and said, what's it doing in the incinerator? You're supposed to wash this?
I'm not going to wash that sticky, awful thing.
But
I
at
did.
any rate, over the years, my cooking took on more importance to me, and
It's the family.
and I started staging in restaurants here in the United States, particularly with Dan Barber, Blue Hill, and then I took it on to go to Europe every year and do stages in restaurants in France, Sweden, Italy.
He's a Renaissance person.
He's a Renaissance chef.
He is a Renaissance person. He grows flowers. He grows vegetables. He cooks. He painted. He does so many artistic things, and that's one of the things I thought was so unique about him when I met him, and I was only 14.
So to this end, Bibi, what is your favorite thing on Bruce's menu? And, tell us.
What is my favorite
Bruce,
thing?
would you know what Bibi's
I
favorite?
I love the pasta that you make with the anchovy. What is the name of that one? That's so excellent.
The anchovies, olives,
In the
and breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs. That has a special name on an Italian menu. I don't know. I think that Well, Domenico isn't here right now, but I think he would say his pizza. Domenico is an absolute fan of Bruce's Pizza. He does everything very well. I bake better than he does, but he does. And I don't go in the kitchen very much.
She's very messy in the kitchen. I can't stand having her in the kitchen.
I walked into the kitchen this morning at 8 o'clock, and there is Seth rolling out pizza dough for tonight, for the Roman pizza. We have 2 pizza ovens at the house. And there is Bruce making his Neapolitan pizza dough. My kitchen floor looks like it's dark wood, it's white. There is pizza, not pizza, flour, not flour, but water and flour everywhere. I ran back upstairs.
Okay, so your kitchen, you left it with some impasto. Okay, perfect. So now, because, and Seth, you cued us for this in terms of the legacy, in terms on what role has your interest in the art world have on your family?
I think a great one, actually. They've learned to think out of the box a little bit more than they might have. I should hold this up. Sorry, Gabby. Brian's fainting from me. I forgot.
I think it's become, it's something that the whole family has gathered around. Seth has taken over sort of the curatorial role.
And he has a great eye and a very similar eye to mine, I would think.
Elise provides storage.
She's not as interested.
She's got 2 homes, and
The kids live with a lot.
we do not put art in storage. Our kids' homes and our homes, and we rotate the art between us. And I think this is just a general appreciation. And actually, I think it's passed on to some of the grandkids as well.
Yes. Brian and Justin here come to galleries. I used to drag them all the time. And I think they love it. Justin, you came up here yesterday of your own free will. And so I think it's been a wonderful family. Something we all do together. We don't always agree. But I think we've exposed the children to, again, thinking out of the box, people they might not have met before, and to look at things differently than they might have begun to look at them.
I love that. And now, as we conclude with certainly our last of our questions today, what has the art world meant to you both?
Everything other than the family. I mean, it's just been the focus of our life always. And we're planning a trip to Europe in October for the Paris Basel Art Fair. It comes in every place.
Our life has been built around art. Aspen athletics are very important in our lives, but the glue to our relationship, our friendships, our travels,
And look
everything.
Look at us here, this Anderson Ranch. I mean, since 1987, we've been part of this fabulous place, and the people we've met, and the privilege of being up here with you, Gabby. It's just, it's been our focus here as well. As much as the hiking and the skiing and the rock climbing and all the other things, the ranch and the museum have been a focus, and the people we've met through that. So many of you in the room are our dear friends who we've met through art. So that's it. That's all I have to say. We're very lucky people. I go pinch, pinch, pinch a lot.
I think we may have, if we have any questions before, I want to, if you, like, I was about to say, which one of you are going to kill me first about being blindsiding you with all of this, and I just want to open if there are any questions anyone might have for our incredible honorees here and dear friends, Bruce and Barbara.
I think we told too much. I'm so sorry. What?
The Rose Simpson.
I would say the Rose B. Simpson.
Rose Simpson.
I don't know that you've seen it, but hopefully you'll come and see it. I think so. Oh, and also, I'm forgetting the name, Seth, help me. But the photographers, we have one in the guest house. Pardon? I didn't hear you. Manoli.
Yes.
Saholi.
Saholi.
Yeah, Zanelli Maholi. Those two photographs. I'm sure you're familiar with everything, but yes.
There was also a second question, I think. Do we have another question? Yeah?
So I had a similar question on what you're focused on these days with your collecting, and then also how with your clients are you coaching an eye?
Repeat that, Sarah, I'm sorry.
How are you coaching an eye
What do you recommend to your clients?
and art when you're working with clients?
I recommend to buy what they love. It's my job to point them in the right direction, but I do not recommend people buy things necessarily within a certain price range, below a certain price range, for an investment, or they need to buy with their guts, feeling, with their soul, with their eyes and not their ears. That's how I do. And there's so many wonderful young artists out there. I would say that the focus of my advising and our own collecting is under a certain amount of money. It's not in the 6 figures, it's not in the 7 figures. Hopefully it gets there, and many times it has. But I tell them we have to buy what we love, and not what they hear about.
Thank you both for such a great interview, wonderfully creative. So Bruce, has one of your artworks remained in your collection? One of your paintings?
Has it been
No, they've long since disappeared.
Whereabouts unknown in the catalog resume. Any
I loved it. I was never very good.
And I wanted the easel in the closet.
Any other questions? Well, I think that concludes, ladies and gentlemen.